Hey everybody, so I am back at a certain stage in my Dreadnaught painting. As you saw in if you looked at my update video that I just posted recently and videotaped today, I showed how I was using the Space Wolf Gray, or the Rust, excuse me, the Rust Gray, on this miniature to be like the underpaint, or the primer that you would have like on a vehicle that sort of gets chipped away and that you see underneath. Now, what I did is I used transparent paint rather than, well, first of all, I did the primer, I did the the gray, I did the chipping fluid, and that's where I left off last time. After that, I covered the model in another coat of a lighter gray after the chipping fluid, because that's what I typically do with my transparent paints. I use a gray base. Then I did shading underneath and lightening on the top with darker grays and lighter grays, and then I sprayed my transparent paint. One thing I forgot to do, and it's because I just didn't really know to do it, and this is the first time I've tried to do this kind of weathering, is I did not put a gloss coat over the Lehman Rust Gray and before the chipping. I'm told that that's a good idea to do because sometimes you can actually go through your paint that's under the chipping fluid if you don't do it. I didn't do it, and I didn't really end up having any problems, but I think in the future I will, just as a precaution. So before I talk about the obvious chips and things that are underneath it, I will say that the transparent paint held up to what I needed to do despite doing it with a chipping fluid process. I don't know why I expected that might be a problem, but the transparent paint is a very fine paint. It's very easily scratched even without chipping fluid, in my experience. And so I didn't know what to expect trying to do two techniques layered one over the other. So in some ways, trying to experiment and do this chipping technique or this weathering with the hairspray or chipping fluid technique, not in isolation, but doing it with a translucent paint, was making it more complex than it needed to be as an experiment. But since that's what I'm going to be doing with my vehicles, I figured I might as well try both of them together anyway. Now, if you look here, the actual darker shading underneath as compared to the brighter up above, I think worked quite well to the way I look to my transparent paint operating. Essentially, I got my darkening that I wanted and my shadowing. As far as the actual technique itself, it actually worked well, I think. If you look here, I actually got almost two kinds of tones here because of the fact that I do that lighter gray above it, I think. This lighter here is what I had as my first layer over the paint, and then it went in through to the priming here. If you look in here, I think this looks pretty good. I mean, I don't really know what to expect. It's my first time doing this. I made it so I got to see, some good chipping in here in different areas. I got a really big chip here. Now, that might seem like it might be too big for some people, but what I'm going to be doing after this, my next stage, is to actually use some bulk gunmetal and some silver, and showing like wearing down to the metal in certain spots. So this is going to be where like it took a major hit or something, and so I'm going to be working on that still. Essentially, I'm planning on using this technique in combination with putting in some silver and some black and some lightening of the color like I did in my tactical squad. And so this is just the one stage before that. But overall, as far as showing wear, and then that primer underneath, I think it looks pretty good. My first time here, as I said, and so who knows, I may end up, when I'm finally finished with the process, making some changes. I like the color of the bluish gray underneath. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? For you guys that have done this before, how does it look? I didn't do any salt. I know I've never done that technique either, and I know there's a salt technique that can be done alone or in combination with the hairspray. I didn't really want that pitted look, although I like that look and that technique from what I've seen of it. I didn't really want that look on this, and so one thing I will be doing is an oil wash as one of the more final stages, and I'm expecting that'll bring some of the character back too, and the detail and things. Right now, I find the fluorescence and this chipping that's showing the lighter colors underneath is blanching out my work a bit right now as far as the way it looks on camera or through the viewfinder. But overall, I think I've got the foundation here, what I'm looking for to test out on this. So yeah, looks pretty neat, kind of a first time for me. One thing that's I didn't realize is just how much water is key for the process. Like, I know everyone that I've ever seen do it, puts it on there, but you really do need to. I found with this, I need to wait for the water to soften a bit, soften the areas where the chipping fluid is, and then it works a lot better. I was kind of worried about doing this technique, and it's kind of like anything that I do. The first time you do it and you're working on a model, you don't want to ruin the work you did beforehand. So having done all of that spray painting, all the transparent paints, and doing the pre-shading and stuff, I was kind of worried as how it was going to come out. One thing I'll just mention, I don't know that I showed this in another video, but I did sculpt a little sort of dinosaur skull here. That's just green stuff. I just did that. I mean, real quick. Thought it would be cool in addition to a rock. So, yeah. Okay, so I'll be back in the future with this at either finished or at another stage. Take care, everybody.